Winona Rising is a coming of age story from the perspective of a 15-year-old girl. The novel was born from the idea that a portion of life happens not in reality, but in the abstract realms of imagination and dream, and that the experiences in these realms are just as relevant to the understanding of one's life. In the novel, I explore and play with these overlapping worlds. The main character, Winona Finders, struggles with her understanding of the world around her, trying to find her place in a new town, at a new school, among her peers, and even within her own family. She often feels she has to choose between her parents and almost always picks her dad, mostly out of fear of losing him. One thing Winona and her dad bond over is shooting free throws in the driveway. In the excerpt that's about to be read from the book, Winona is just 16 made baskets away from reaching 3,000 all time, surely a Guinness World Record. Winona's dad had promised he would tally her shots when he got home from work.
As the sun dropped in the sky, my hopeful thoughts waned. Maybe my dad really had forgotten. Maybe he wasn't coming home at all tonight. I shivered from the cold.
Winona?
I jolted to my feet. Walking towards me was my mom. Under her coat, she hadn't taken off her apron, which was covered in a pattern of musical notations, wet from washing dishes. Matching the apron were her rubber boots, one white, one black, to resemble the two types of piano keys. She smiled, oblivious to how absurd she looked. Her pleasantness was infuriating, inappropriate on such a failed night. "Did Dad call?" I asked, my tone harsh, as if it was her fault he had forgotten. I pressed the basketball hard against my hip and threw the ball as hard as I could at the ground. It rebounded as high as my shoulder. Out of midair, I snatched the ball and launched it towards the net. Swoosh. When I turned around, the official tally booklet was in my mom's possession, her fingers flipping through the pages, the pencil in her grasp. "What are you doing?" I snapped, charging at her.
I can tally your shots tonight,
she said, pressing the booklet protectively against her chest. "No!" I reached for the booklet. "It's not the same when you do it." Her legs were firm like porch posts, dug 5 feet into the ground.
Don't be ridiculous.
She wasn't going to budge. Her determination was so annoying.
Go ahead, take your next shot,
she said encouragingly. I exhaled loudly. I wanted so badly to reach 3,000 made free throws tonight. Maybe the judges at the Guinness World Records office wouldn't notice the change in handwriting. After all, the marks in the official tally booklet were essentially capital I's. How eclectic could a capital I get? What would my dad think about my mom taking his place tonight? Well, he wasn't here to have a say, was he? "Dad always stands there," I said, pointing to where his car would have been parked if he had been home like he was supposed to be. My mom shuffled to the left. I hope no one from Hugo Hatter High was on Carver Street tonight. It would get back to evil Amanda that Rebecca Worthington, Winona Finder's mom, had gone nuts, out in public, looking like a piano. Evil Amanda would likely spin an elaborate story, something about my mom having escaped an insane asylum and terrorizing the residents of the town. That was how my dad had said people would react if my mom actually wore my gifts in public. I tossed the basketball at the net. Swoosh. 2,985. 20 minutes later, I had made 15 free throws and missed only 4. I glanced at my mom. I was happy she was taking the role seriously, though I couldn't imagine her taking it another way. I waited for her to cheer me on. My dad would have, but she didn't. No, my next made basket would be number 3,000. 3,000! It was almost too dark to see the rim, but I couldn't go inside one basket short of reaching the milestone. Behind the wavy foul line, I dribbled the basketball twice, and then rotated the ball on my cold hands, feeling for the perfect grip. I squeezed the ball so hard I could feel the pimpled leather imprinting on my palms. I inhaled slowly, deliberately. When I exhaled, my breath trickled out of my lungs like air from a punctured bicycle tire. I had never done anything so important. I had quit the piano for this, for my dad, and he was going to miss it. Tears welled in my eyes, blurring the already barely visible rim. In less than 5 minutes, the sun would completely vanish below the horizon, and darkness would consume all of Mileston. I had to take the shot now. I bent my knees and bounced a little to shake off the nerves, to put aside the disappointment of my dad's absence, to block out the very real possibility that if I had made this basket, a rift would grow between us. I couldn't go back to retake the 3,000th free throw. Once it was made, it was made. I didn't have to take the shot, but what if there was some other 15-year-old vying for the same record? What if she was just as close to reaching 3,000 made free throws all time? And if I waited another day, the record would be lost. Squinting at the net, I lifted the basketball below my chin. Take the shot, don't take the shot. It was too big of a decision to make on my own. I didn't want the responsibility. My heart raced as my fingertips dug into the leather. Amanda Mason would know what to do. I glanced down the sidewalk, searching for the answer. It didn't arrive in the form of a solid 15-year-old girl with a red corkscrew curls, running slower than I had walked. From the corner of my eye, my mom's arms dropped. At first, it was just a sound, but then a moment later, my dad's car pulled into the driveway. Dad! I jumped out of the way. My mom leaped onto the grass, the hem of her apron brushing against the hood of my dad's car. Her foot came out of a boot, and the black rubber piano key went flying over her head. As the car abruptly stopped, the tires screeched. My dad yanked on the parking brake, then the car door creaked open as he spewed out of the driver's seat. You made it, I squealed. He looked terrible, like he hadn't slept in days. Maybe he really had been saving an old lady from a burning building again. I looked at his hands for evidence, but there were no noticeable burns. Whatever the reason, he would have to shake it off, and quickly. I was one basket away from surely earning the attention of the Guinness World Records office, and it was almost too dark to attempt it. I'm at 2,999. With heavy eyelids, he blinked slowly. I held my breath, waiting for it to sink in.